Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share my passion for cigars with you guys and Tampa's cigar heritage. My name is Yanko Maceda, founder of Tabanero Cigars, where we believe in the enjoyment of craftsmanship that allows you to stop time, reflect on life, and plan the future ahead. And we will go over little by little why I believe that. 1884, Vicente Martinez Ybor came to Tampa, Florida, looking for land to move an industry from Key West, Cayo Hueso, to Tampa, Florida. So he got here, he saw the potential of buying 40 acres. He told City of Tampa, I would like to buy these 40 acres and move a cigar industry from Key West to Tampa. Key West wasn't connected to the US, so it was pretty hard to ship cigars from Key West. And also Key West, it was too close to Cuba. So cigar rollers were back and forth. So they couldn't have full production at all times. Vicente Martinez Ybor, right there across the street.
That's good. They haven't torn his statue down.
He came here when he was 70 years old. So he built an empire
70.
at 70. So when I hear people saying that I'm retired at 65, I go, what, 65, I'm going to be still young to keep going. So Vicente said, well, you know, City of Tampa, how much you want for 40 acres? The city said $9,000. He said, no, that's too much money. I keep going to Texas. I want to see some property in Texas. And then the local merchant said, no, Vicente, please don't go. What can we do for you to stay and bring the industry? He said, I don't know, make me an offer. And they said, we will pay for half of the land. Beautiful. So Vicente even give land away to his competition. And if I'm not mistaken, they also built some factories and give it to the competition to be able to move the industry to Tampa, Florida. At some point, we were 200 cigar factories in this 40 acres. 200 cigar factories making 700 million cigars a year. Right now, we combine Dominican Republic, Cuba, and Nicaragua, and we not even get to that amount of cigars. So that's how we get the name of cigar capital of the world. All the tobacco was coming from Cuba over here, and the cigars were made here. Because importing a cigar from Cuba, it was about 10 cents. Making it here in the US, just bringing the tobacco, it was about 5-7 cents. So it was better to make it here. The invention of the cigarette, because of the Great Depression of 1929, it kind of killed a little bit the industry. And by 1980, there was only a few of us standing here. J.C. Newman, which is there on Columbus, they've been here for 130 years, I think. And they still making cigars, all machine made. And we believe that somehow we inspire them to recently update the museum, do cigar tours like us. And also they put 2 cigar rollers to start making cigars again. So they believe that we need to keep that alive. We can get rid of making the cigar in Tampa. And here on the strip, there are 4 of us making cigars, and mostly 1 or 2 rollers. We usually are 4 to 6 rollers production, 120,000 cigars a year. But after the pandemic, everything got pretty difficult. We also, the immigration between Cuba and the US have pretty tight, so we're not able to get rollers. Huh? Yeah.
There's only 4 cigar makers in the whole city.
Yeah, and in Ybor City, yes, 4. Well, J.C. Newman will be number 5. J.C. Newman will be number 5. There's La Faraona, Tabanero, Nica Habana, and Long Ash. We all make great cigars. We almost same tobaccos because we all buy from the Oliva tobacco family, the original from Tampa, but we get to blend differently. And I believe that all of us are in the industry for different reasons. We believe we're working on a brand. That's why we make our own boxes. We got labels. Yep. That's a project that we're working on. We have a laser machine that engrave the wood and cuts all the pieces. So we are now trying to implement to bring cigar rollers from Nicaragua. They're a different breed in a sense that they have took the industry to another level. They work in pairs. Right here is Cuban style. the same cigar rollers will do the inside of the cigar and apply wrapper. Right now he's doing a Corona cigar. A Corona cigar is a small cigar, really mild cigar. You can see it. It's about 30-minute smoke. That Corona has U.S. Connecticut wrapper. So it's pretty sweet, pretty tasty.
So it's mild.
It's really mild, really sweet. This is a total handmade product.
What does it sell for?
I think $8. So right now he's wrapping. Hopefully in the tour when we coming back, he will be doing the inside, and you guys can see the inside when he's bunching. Wrapping, it has its own techniques. As you can see, he's capping a few times the cigar. Keep in mind, that is vegetable starch. A starch, yeah, with water. A Cuban technique is called Cuban triple cap. It's basically capping the cigars 3 times. So when you cut the cigar and you have your cigar in your mouth for an hour, it's not going to get destroyed. It's not going to look like Grandpa's cigar, you know, the inexpensive cigar. So he has capped that cigar 3 times. And we're going to see it again now when he starts the next one.
Very nice.
And your website, by the way, is extremely good. It goes through all the making, and I really enjoyed that.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
really nice.
So he already capped the cigar with the actual wrapper. So that's the first cap. Some of the inexpensive cigars, they stay like that. That's the only cap.
Yeah.
Now he's doing the second cap that he's going to go around 1.5, 2.5 times. And that is...
Is that glue?
Yeah, vegetable starch glue, yeah. And in case of this cigar, we add a little bit of sugar, so it has a sweet tip.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Now, how
Wow.
long have you been doing this?
¿Cuánto hace que estás haciendo todo?
Oh, más de 20 años.
He's been in it more than 20 years. He's from the side of the country close to Guantanamo
Okay.
base, yeah.
Nice.
He's really good. He's
A lot
really
of
good.
the rollers now are from Nicaragua.
They're
Not
now.
as good as Havana. That's what I hear. I don't know.
Well, that's a discussion, you know. That's a discussion.
I want to see.
That's a discussion. It took me years to realize that Nicaragua has took the industry to another level. They got better techniques. They got more advanced technique. There's more ways to make sure the quality of the cigars, it's in another level.
Yeah.
They're using those machines to do the inside, but it's called a bunching machine. And there's advantage of using that machine because you have a more even bunch.
Okay.
There's no twisting of any leaf that is gonna make it harder for the cigar to burn. With that machine, it will be a perfect bunch. Yeah.
That's great.
No doubt, we have this conversation many times. Cubans say, no, there's no way to do it. There's not a better way to do it by hand. They're really good rollers. They know how to do it. And that's the thing. They're really good rollers, where they are.
Hard to find, huh?
You know, they're hard to find. Now, someone that is being trained for a year on that bunching machine, an average roller does an excellent job. You don't have to show so much technique when you're doing it completely by hand.
So how long does it take for one cigar to be made from start to finish?
He comes in the morning, he fills all the bunches, the molds that you see on the press. It's half a day. He will fill,
That's the beginning
yeah,
here.
10 molds. And right after lunch, he starts wrapping. So it's not really one cigar at a time. He will do the inside, finish all the insides, press, and then start wrapping. Yeah, that's how it works.
How many in a day?
He's right now at 120 a day. Nicaraguan rollers, they work in pairs. The guy does the inside, the lady does the wrapping. They're 425 a day.
Wow.
There's something else. There's something else. But there's always a mystique of a Cuban style because it's completely by hand. It's good for a show. It's good for appreciation. We have some coffee for you guys to try our coffee. So after he fills all the mold, before we apply any of the wrappers, we want to make sure all the cigars has a perfect draw. This is something that I'm going to share with you guys now. It's new technology. It's something that has been around 15 years. It's called a drop master machine. So we will test each cigar to make sure that it has a perfect draw before they come back here for him to apply the wrapper. ¿Cuándo tú vas cuando terminas y empiezas a hacer tripa? Okay, chévere. He's almost done with wrapper and then he will start doing the inside. So let's go. Usually 2 hours, 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. When you're doing a lot bigger cigars, we try to leave it pressed overnight.
Oh, okay.
Can you say where the tobacco comes from? Is it from like the East Coast?
Most of the
Carolina?
No, most of the tobacco, and those are good questions. I was going to get there, but I can answer. Most of the tobaccos for handmade cigars, they grow on the tropics.
On the tropics.
They grow on the tropics.
Okay.
So Cuba, Dominican Republic, Nicaragua, Mexico, Ecuador, Sumatra Island, and reason why, because this cigars you don't inhale. You only keep the smoke in your mouth and just let go. It has to be really strong tobacco to be able to pick up the different tones on the tobacco. U.S. tobacco, it has nice aroma, but it's more for cigarettes, for people that inhale. You know, American tobacco is not feeder for handmade cigars. Connecticut wrapper, it goes in the outside of the cigar, so when you burn it, you picked a lot of the nice aroma. But when it comes to flavor inside of the filler, Connecticut is not as strong enough to be a filler. Pennsylvania is also growing broadleaf, pretty dark, kind of like a Maduro cigar, but it's also for wrapper. It's not as strong enough to be inside of a cigar. We have some cigars in here that has U.S. Pennsylvania has a filler, but we did it because it's pretty sweet. We did it to balance the blend inside of the cigar. Cuban tobacco is a question that always comes up. Cuban tobacco, we have to understand that up to 1962, when the embargo came into place, it was the most famous tobacco in the world. It had no competition. So because it's in our lifetime, we still believe you go to Cuba, you throw a C and a miracle happens. And it's not like that. It's not like that. There's many tobaccos a higher quality than Cuban tobacco. But because it's something that is prohibited to us, we still have it in our bucket list that we want to have a Cuban cigar. I want to check mark in our bucket list that we had a Cuban. But there's many countries growing a lot better tobacco than Cuban. So let's go to the Drop Master and see how that works. So this is a Drop Master. It's new technology. It's only been around 15 years. Cuba was the first one to implement it on their production. At a bigger size manufacturing, they only do 3 cigar molds per roller. When it's a smaller factories that we want to prove our name and prove ourselves, we run the whole production through the machine. We want when you buy a 20-count box, all the cigars to have a perfect draw. So cigars below 20, they're going to be too spongy. So every time you puff, it will overhit. It will burn. What do you do with it if it doesn't pass? If it's too spongy, we can put another binder, and it comes up. Okay. If it's after 60, it's too tight. That we just break it and throw them away. We don't want to give it back to the roller and try to open up, and we're not even able to sell it as seconds because you're not going to be able to pull from that cigar. Well, you kind of want to roll it. So as you can see, you saw how rough they look over there when he was making the cigar. Mm-hmm. This is how after it's being pressed for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But it still is missing the wrapper. Yeah. Under the press? Yes. Ah. So does it get one more wrapper? Yes. Yes. That is binder, which is the bottom of the plant. And then wrapper is from the middle to the top.
Huh. Intriguing. And you have to do every cigar in
Every
there?
cigar. Every cigar.
180,000 or however many?
No. Each roller does 100 cigars
A day?
a day. So we do 400 a day when we have the full roller.
Right, okay.
Someone comes in the morning at 8 before they hear.
And they sit here and monitor it.
You see? That's a perfect draw.
So what? So it's
32?
what?
The closer you to 40,
40 is perfect.
you know, this way or this way,
Yeah.
that's a perfect draw.
Okay.
40.
So you have to do each cigar individually?
If we stay
So that one's over.
These are
So
handmade.
you,
Well, it's not
so
be,
you pick
between
it out?
between 50 and 30, you're good.
Oh, 50 and 30.
The perfect world, it will be 40.
But that's not a perfect world.
No, it will be
They're
boring.
handmade, so therefore alone.
What's your
Yeah.
robot?
No two are alike, I guess, right? Oh, well, there.
You see?
No two are alike. That is a correct statement.
And that's his hands feeling how much tobacco.
Yeah.
So that's good.
He's pretty good. He's
Yeah,
he's on it. He's on it. He's on
Yeah,
it.
right there. How do you calibrate or tune this machine?
Oh, that's a good question.
Wow. That's pretty technical.
Yeah.
Must be an engineer.
Well, I want that one too. Plastic are really good ones.
This is a perfect draw. That's the perfect draw.
That's a perfect try. That's your. That's your. That's how you calibrate.
Almost 40. Oh, it is 40.
40 on the dot. You need to move it, you move it here.
So you just try
You're
to
welcome.
emulate the perfect
So
draw.
can you
Perfect.
show up and say, I want to pick my cigars?
That's why I said
You
the
pick
last two
40?
cigars you wanted were like 40s. So I'll take one of those.
No. Remember, you're dealing with humidity. So anything that is a little bit over 40, when you put it in the humidor to rest, it will go down. It will go down. The ones that are below will probably go a little bit down too, but you can smoke the cigar.
Right.
Okay.
44.
$30. Sometimes cigars are lower than 40, but you feel the cigar and there's no soft spots.
Yeah.
So it was how he positioned the tobacco. You see anything soft?
Sorry.
It's firm and it's below 40.
King, we didn't want to touch that. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. Don't touch
40.
that.
You see the side burns that so you get sometimes in a cigar? Is the roller not bunching correctly and the cigar being cut like that by the bunch.
Okay.
That's your side burn. So when he's gonna wrap right now, he needs to put another binder before he applies the wrap. And if it's really bad, we should go like this. Leave it out like that to give him a sign that he needs to put another binder.
Now, is he teaching his children how to do this?
No, his teachers came from Cuba. His children are still in Cuba.
Oh.
Yeah, cigar rollers is no secret. They will come from Cuba, work for you for a year, and then because this is a free country, they will hear his cousin mention the driving trucks, you become a millionaire, the being a plumber, you become a millionaire, and then they start trying other things. And then when they realize that the grass wasn't as green as they thought, it's too late to knock on my door again and say, hey, can I have that job?
I was just told the grass is always greener on the sides, but it can just be watered and.
Well, we are human beings, so we would like to try for ourselves.
Are you from Cuba?
Yes, sir. I came when I was 15, 1994, when the Guantanamo base. Yes, sir. Perfecto, mano, perfecto.
How did you get out?
¿Tú lo vas a apretar ahora? Ok, chévere. ¿Vas a pasar el capito ahorita o ya después que termine? Yo regreso aquí después para estar pasando acá. After the cigars are all done, we put them in a 50-count wheel, and they need to rest for at least 60 days. A mild cigar, 60 days. Regular cigar, 90 days. They will come in here.
Oh, it smells good there.
Humidity in here is always 65 humidity and 70 temperature. That will be the right humidity, right temperature. This one says 70, 70, so this one is even better. So when the cigars are done, we put it on those 50-count wheels that you see in there. We write the name of the cigar roller, the date, and we take them to the warehouse to age for at least 90 days. When they're already aged 90 days, our managers will say, I need torpedoes, I need robustos. We bring it back here, and then they start putting labels,
Package it.
cellophane, yeah.
What does a torpedo do that a regular cigar does?
Well, it's like anything in life. It's a personal preference. A torpedo being a thick cigar, you only cut the tip, and you don't have a lot of smoke coming out. It's not as aggressive, so it's going to be a cooler smoke because the cut is a lot smaller.
Isn't it typically pointy towards the end as well? It's pointy at the end.
Hence torpedo.
Yeah.
What's the favorite cigar for women that's mild that they like to smoke? Or do you think?
It's a 42 gauge. It's a Corona, the ones that he's making.
Okay.
The ones that he's making, yeah. Because it's about 30 minutes.
I was in a group that they would dip them in like a liqueur. Cognac.
It's
So
killing
like,
you right now, isn't it? I know.
to make it sweeter so that it wasn't as
Whatever.
on the whatever.
Yeah, when you really don't smoke cigars, you tend to do that because you want to disguise a little bit the taste of tobacco.
Okay.
But when you're really into cigars, you don't want anything that will mess up your experience.
I mean, the only other thing that would do for you is it might cool temperature.
But the thing is that when you wet the cap of the cigar, eventually it's going to get clubbed. Yeah. We even make our cigar boxes with a laser machine. In here in Tampa, in a warehouse, we have a big laser machine, and it will engrave and cut the pieces, and we glue them together. So for a small boutique, being able to make the cigars, make the package is big.
So if you wanted sort of a medium to mild Robusto, what do you recommend?
Uh,
You make.
that I make, even if we don't make it here, it was our blend that we used to make here. That they were tested already by our customers, and they went to Nicaragua. So a mild to medium, I like the Churchill. Churchill is a really nice.
Is that a Connecticut shade or?
We have it in Connecticut shade too.
I would
Yeah.
be interested.
Yeah, and the Connecticut Churchill that we have, it was made here. It was made in the store.
Oh, that's what I want.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
So you see the humidity working now?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like you got a plumber in the house.
Yeah. I had to learn a lot. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
That's how we keep the humidity. We have a small piece of property on 40th. This is 16 on 40th, and it's all shipping containers, and they're being customized for cigars. So each shipping container will hold 300,000 cigars. So we have tobacco, we have 120,000 cigars there, 40,000 here, and we're making more in Nicaragua. So that's where we age all the cigars before they come here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So when this says Conshade, is that Connecticut shade?
No, Conshade is the company in Dominican Republic who makes the cellophanes. Who makes the cellophane.
It's interesting how it says Con. Like
Yeah.
That's the abbreviation for Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you got to point me to the right ones.
Let's
So
go
I get a
and
box
finish
of those.
with a little presentation, and then I'll put you in the right direction.
You should have a little wine bar in here too.
You're right.
No, seriously.
They do have
Imagine if you had like a little wine bar thing going though, you know, like with a winery or something.
The thing is that
You do it together.
the thing is because Ybor is kind of like a bar scene.
Yeah, I know. It's not so much wine.
People come to the door and they go, "Wow, this is a beautiful place. Do you sell alcohol?" they're not really into cigars. They want to use my space as a bar.
Yeah, as a
And
hangout.
really, we're a cigar.
Yeah,
A cigar.
no, you got to keep your authentic.
Yeah.
You got to be authentic.
So Cuban triple cap, capping the cigars 3 times, so your cigar stays pretty good looking, not like grandpa cigars that are all smushy. We're gonna also see how the different cuts lighting the cigar and ashing the cigar the correct way. So in here she was making fillers, exactly what he was doing in there, making the inside of the cigar. As you can see, her binder is a lot more flexible than the one he's using because she liked to wet too much the binder to work faster. That's not good because it would take me longer to age that cigar to be in a perfect. But when you have 4 or 6 rollers is in here in the U.S., not having a supervisor is difficult too. She's doing a Robusto, a lot thicker cigar than what he's doing in there. That's another cigar roller from Partagas, Havana. It was pretty good. But he got his trucking license and he went to drive trucks. And only lasts, I think, 6 months. This lady she's doing wrapping. That's the second cap on the cigar. She goes around 2.5 times on the cap of the cigar, and she will finish. And she will finish with a round piece of pipe to do the third cap.
How often do you have to sharpen those knives?
Not too often because if they're too sharp, they will sink on the cutting board. That's the third cap. So the cigar is being capped 3 times. I see people getting their guillotine and cutting the whole cap. And I'm going, wow, after so much work into building the cap, you should cut the whole thing. So that's why you look for the last line and you cut there, the last line of the cigar. Cutting the cigar. When you're going to cut your own cigar and you have your guillotine, always wet the cigar first. Yeah, wet the cigar with saliva and then cut it. You don't know.
Only with friends, but yeah, I got it.
No. And if it's your personal cutter,
But
you don't.
I can do it with you.
So wet the cigar and then cut it just in case that it was a little bit dry. You're not going to break the cap. So wet the cigar and then you cut.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because that happens all the time.
Yeah, it cracks it.
Recut is personal preference in a sense that you cutting the cigar on a V, so you have less smoke coming out.
Right.
I have tried in the past, it wasn't my preference. I wanted when I puff to feel the whole flow of the cigar coming at me.
What about a bullet cut?
We're going in there. I'll explain bullet. This is the torpedo. I like to cut my torpedoes in an angle, so when I puff, the smoke goes to the ceiling and to the palate right away. It's a totally different experience than when you cut straight and it's coming to you.
Sorry, I should have looked at the video ahead of time.
That's a really small area.
Yeah. And it's funny because you can make, we have 2 cigars in here that are the same blend, made by the same roller, but torpedo, it will be a different experience than the one that is.
Is that you in the picture?
We'll see. Punch. Wet the cigar and go pretty gentle making your punch.
You can tell by the ring. I like this cut right here.
Thank you.
I think it's kind of cool.
Punch cut too. Yeah, it's like
You
central.
can draw it easier, I think.
When you do punch, you avoid of any pieces of tobacco going in your mouth. The cigar will last longer because there's not a lot of smoke coming out. The only thing that I have experienced is that with my saliva and I'm smoking a cigar, and I smoke pretty slow. So a cigar, a regular cigar that for someone can last an hour, I can push it to 2 hours. So with saliva, saliva and the smoke, you will build some tart around the punch, and it changes the flavor a little bit. So that's the only thing that I have against punch. When lighting up the cigars, the torch were designed, those powerful torch, for you to light up the cigar outside of your mouth. If you put your cigar in your mouth and you start puffing from the torch, it's like getting on a muffler of a car and start puffing from the muffler.
It's not good.
So light up with your torch, and then when it's completely red, you blow and it's completely red, you start puffing really gentle. Light up from a piece of cedar or a match is fine. The flames are not as hot enough to mess up your palate. So I do the edges first. And then I go to the center, blow, and when it's completely red, I start puffing the same way when you serve whiskey, bourbon. That first sip, you go pretty gentle. You want your palate to open up. So when you start doing those first few puffs, go pretty gentle.
That's not you.
No? It's me. That's my winter look. For the summer, because kids are out of school, they don't want the facial hair. No, Dad, no. To go to the pool, go to the beach.
We watched a movie with a guy had a ring. It was pretty funny.
Ashes. We always try to keep the ashes as long as we can, first to show up, to kind of give you a sign that I spent good money on good cigars. Only good cigars, good tobacco, good binder, well-aged cigars will give you a nice ash. And also because ashes keep the heat insulated. As soon as you clean your ashes, your cigar can go off right away. So that's why we keep ashes as long as we can. When you're going to clean the ashes, just tap the cigar. Don't be hitting the cigar in the ashtray because there's so much tobacco on the cigar when it's well packed that eventually the cigar will explode. You've been smoking a cigar has dropped on the floor, you pick it up, you clean it, you keep smoking, and a little bit, it will explode. Because you have to be really gentle with a cigar. So you're going to clean the ashes, just go like that, and then clean it. There you go. And then after you clean the ashes right away, if you're in a conversation, start puffing because you don't have anything to insulate the heat and the cigar can go off. Most of the time cigars go off after you drop the ashes. And once you finish, don't just start going like that with a cigar to turn it off. Just leave it in the ashtray. It will go off. There's no chemicals. There's no paper for the cigar to go off. It's
California though. Don't throw it out of the car.
no, please, no. Do we have any questions?
Oh, that was really good.
Do we learn a thing on or all right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm glad you guys enjoyed.
Steer me towards a Robusta.
Yes, sir.